my friend's Blitz and remembered some arguments that I've seen over time on message boards and on Facebook and so on concerning upgrades and whether you should go aluminum or you should go plastic or so on and so forth. Well, my opinion with that is suspension tables should be plastic. Plastic has a lot more flex than aluminum does. For this I would suggest RPM if they have. But it also depends what you're using it for. For instance, if it's a drift vehicle, you can go all aluminum with it. It won't matter because you're not putting a lot of strain on the car, and you're not going to do rollovers and jumps and stuff like that. As opposed to this Blitz, which is probably going to take some heavy jumps, a lot of falls, a lot of spills, a lot of rolls, smashes, you name it. For this type of vehicle, I would go for good performance, aluminum bell crank for the steering, RPM steering knuckles, RPM tables. I went with aluminum hub carriers, and that's about it. So basically what my theory on this is that anything that's going to take an impact is going to need to be flexible, as in plastic. Now plastic, especially the RPM stuff, can take some serious abuse. It flexes, but it comes back, whereas aluminum would not. If you put aluminum front to back, let's say you start with your steering arm, your steering knuckles, into your hub carriers, onto your suspension arms, and down all the way to the suspension arm mounts, what's going to happen is when you have a serious impact, it's going to transmit that pressure all the way to your chassis. Now, granted, a lot of chassis aren't really very expensive, but I mean, do you want to replace the chassis or do you want to just replace a suspension arm? It's a lot easier to replace a suspension arm. So I would suggest, as I mentioned before, plastic suspension arms, plastic suspension arm mounts, and the rest you can go aluminum. The reason I go aluminum with the hub carriers is you can shim them and they'll have a lot less play over time, and the RPM steering knuckles can take a hell of a lot of abuse. So that's pretty much my theory on the subject. Also, another thing I like to do is replace plastic bushings with bearings. And a lot of times in these particular instances here there's always some play that makes this move. Like this one doesn't move, obviously, because I put in some shims that you can buy off of eBay. 3 Racing has them. They're pretty cheap, and what you need is basically 3 sets. This is a 0.1, 0.2, and a 0.3 millimeter thickness. Depending on the size of the hole you need to do, then you need to check for like 5 millimeter, 7 millimeter, 8 millimeter. It depends on the hole you got. Same for bearings. Replace the bearings with same size. Replace the bushings with same size bearings type thing. And you can also shim those accordingly to get rid of a lot of play. So this is very, very, very smooth. There's barely any play in it, and it should perform quite well. Also, another thing I like to do is replace ball links with the Traxxas links. I really like the Traxxas links. They're very tough. They got a decent amount of movement, Actually, they're quite loose, but they don't have a lot of play, and they're pretty cheap to replace.